Well, hello, thank you for joining me today again on the Church History Trail, and we're continuing here in the city of Derry / Londonderry, and we're outside St Colum's and we're just about to go inside. And of course you can see the tower here. Now, back in the day of the siege in 1689, the tower was here but there was no spire, and a cannon then was placed on the top of the tower to protect the city against the Jacobite attackers. And so what we're going to do now then is just go inside. How you doing? And what you can see here is a mortar. It's not actually a cannonball, but it's a mortar. And so this was fired during the siege, but it was an empty shell, because in this here mortar, it actually had surrender terms in it for the residents here of the city and for the commanders of the city of Derry. And of course it was rejected, and so they rejected it and it wasn't accepted. So I'm going to read it out to you here. It says, "This mortar shell, which weighs 270 pounds and is 16 inches in diameter, was fired into the city by the Jacobite forces on the 10th of July 1689. It contained a document with terms of surrender, but the reply to these terms was that the city would not surrender. The apprentice boys of Derry presented the shell to the cathedral in 1844. And then it says, "The terms of surrender were recorded by Captain Thomas Ush in his journal of the siege of Londonderry." And so if you want to read that there, you can pause the video and have a read of that. But that's the mortar that was fired into the city. And so where I'm going to take you now. Hello, how you doing?
We're not selling that mortar.
You're not giving it away either, no?
We're not giving it.
So where I'm going to take you now is just into the main sanctuary now of the building. You can certainly see it's very impressive. There's no doubt about it. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And there's actually two commanders who are buried here in the church from the siege. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you now and show you their memorial tablet and where they're buried. And this is it here. And so who are buried here is actually Colonel Henry Baker, who was joint governor of the city of Derry / Londonderry during the 1689 siege, along with the Reverend George Walker, until his death through disease on the 30th of June 1689. And also who's buried here then is Captain Michael Browning, and he was the captain of the ship the Mountjoy that rammed into the boom across the Foyle. And he was actually from here, he was from the city. And Captain Browning actually died on deck while encouraging his men in the face of death. But he was actually from the city of Derry / Londonderry. So quite amazing. And he's buried here along with Colonel Henry Baker. And he had actually been shot after being shot in the head actually while he was on the deck of a ship. He was actually shot from one of the shore's batteries. So both men are buried here. So this is fantastic to have this. There's no doubt about it. And so we'll have Colonel Henry Baker and Captain Michael Browning. And I'll read this out to you. It says, "Beneath lie the bodies of two noble-hearted men, Colonel Henry Baker, a governor of this city during the siege of 1689, a man greatly beloved and trusted, to whom the people of Derry turned in their time of extremity, and who was found faithful unto death. Worn out by hardship and disease, he died on June 30th, 1689, on the 74th day of the siege." And then it says, "Michael Browning, captain of the ship Mountjoy of this city, chosen to lead the relieving vessels. He was killed at the boom in the hour of victory while encouraging his men in the face of terrible danger on the 20th of July 1689. And if you want to read the rest of that inscription, then you can pause it. And so there you see the plaque there at the bottom of it. 1689, 1933 AD. Obviously, the plaque was then put up in 1933. So that's where these two men are buried, so fantastic. And there's a couple of other things that I want to show you relating to the siege. So we're on a bit of a siege history trail today. And what they are is these two yellow flags, as you can see. Now, I've been told that these two flags were originally white, but over time they faded, they became yellow. And now they're not the original flags, but they are the original poles, etc. But what happened was then, when they were replaced, the people didn't know that they were originally white, and so replaced them with yellow. So that's why they're yellow. But the poles are original, and some of the other stuff of them are original as well. So there you go. So where I'm going to take you now is, I'm going to take you into the wee museum, because they have artifacts from the siege. They have locks and keys from the time of the siege in 1689. So I hope you're enjoying our wee tour today of the siege of Derry / Londonderry, or better known as Stroke City. How you doing? How are you? So we're just going to go now to the museum. Yes. No, you're okay. Is there anything you would like to add to the? Don't go now. Don't be shy. You weren't shy earlier. Is there any information you'd like to add? No.
Yes. This chap up here, Brian, very knowledgeable.
So he'll sort me out.
He will really sort you out.
I'm just a facilitator.
Brian, what do we have here?
What do we have here?
Yes.
We have the Chapel House, which is, it also is our museum.
And you have artifacts, I believe, from the time of the siege.
Yeah, we do.
In 1689. Would you like to show us some of them? Brian, this is amazing, I have to say. Absolutely fantastic. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Brilliant. Look at the fireplace there. I see a chest.
The chest is where the original silverware was kept.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And it's from the 16th century?
Yep, it is indeed.
With 7 locks operated by a central key, which held the cathedral's communion silver. Very good.
You're not lifted too easy, are you?
No, that's incredible.
These are the artifacts from the siege. So you have the 4 locks that lock the gates. You have the original manuscripts from Mountjoy and Mackenzie. You'll have George Walker's original Bible as well, so you do.
My goodness.
Yep.
That's incredible.
Yep.
And there's something I noticed about these locks. It's not the sort of lock you'd put on your back gate.
No, it's pretty big now.
So the gates must have been huge.
The gates had to be massive.
Yeah, I suppose to keep the soldiers from attacking.
Well, James II, he was looking to take over the city or come into the city, but
Yes.
people in the city weren't having it, so they locked the gates and kept them out.
And I see a couple of pistols there as well, Brian.
Now that's from Frederick Hervey. He was the bishop. He was the 4th Earl Bishop of Brussels, it says there, but he was the bishop here, so he was in the city.
All right.
So they're his pistols.
And then there's cannonballs as well.
I don't know too much about them, but I'm assuming they're artifacts from the era of around the siege time and stuff like that.
Yes.
You know.
Very good. And you have swords as well.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about the swords?
No, not really. Not a lot I know about.
There's
them.
like an old... Is that off a grave, that screw there?
Yeah.
It looks like it, doesn't it?
I would say it's a nail.
A nail, do you think?
It's unusual now.
And then I see a portrait there of Walker, the Reverend George Walker. I've actually done a video on his grave because he's actually buried in St Michael's at Castle Caulfield, and the Reverend Canon Peter Thompson.
Oh, is that where he is?
That's where he is.
Caulfield?
And the Reverend Canon Peter Thompson, I interviewed him. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you check out the playlist on the Williamite period, and you'll see the Reverend Canon, and he talks about the Reverend Walker. He shows the grave where he's buried. He also shows the communion cup and flaglet that he used before he went to the Boyne, and also the baptismal font that Walker used before he went to the Boyne. And then, of course, his wife, she paid a soldier to have him transported back to Castle Caulfield. Of course, he was the rector of the parish there. So that's fantastic. Is there anything else you would like to point out to us, Brian?
This is what they call the kidney table. For obvious reasons, it's the shape of a kidney.
Yes.
It's Italian walnut with a leather bound top, and it is from 1740s.
Very good.
Thereabouts.
Brilliant.
Owned by and brought by the fourth Earl Bishop, Bishop Hervey.
Yes.
With his table, he was did a lot of travelling in Europe, picked up antiques and paintings and stuff like that, and brought them back. So this was actually his residence down in Downhill Castle, they call it. You know where the Muslim temple?
Yes.
Well, his house was there.
There's a lovely beach there.
We were on it yesterday, actually.
Is that right?
I was there walking yesterday, yep. And the
Very
sun
good.
was really hot and nice.
Well, that's fantastic. Is there anything else you'd like to point out before we wrap the wee video up?
Things you've obviously, Mrs. Cecil Frances Alexander.
Who was she now?
She was the Emerson poet. She wrote famous hymns like Once in Royal David City.
Oh, did she?
There was a green hope far away, and all things bright and beautiful. She was the bishop on this side. That was her husband, who was a bishop here. They lived over what's now the Masonic Hall. That would have been the bishop's palace.
All right.
So that's another.
And how long has this wee museum been going then, Brian?
Well, since I was married here in 1981, and I know it since then.
My goodness. So it's been going a brave way.
It's been going a lot longer than that, I'm sure.
Well, very good. So thanks for watching. And again, if you enjoyed the video, then please like and subscribe. And I'd also like to thank Brian for his commentary there. And it was very good. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed it as well. So thanks for watching, and God bless.